Hi there, and welcome to Scientia Academiae. In today's video, we're diving into the O-Level Biology 5090 Paper 1 questions from the May-June 2016 session. We'll break down each question, review key concepts, and help you ace your exams. So grab your notes, get comfy, and let's get started. The first question about hormones and their roles in the menstrual cycle. The question asks which row correctly pairs a hormone with its function in the menstrual cycle. Is it A. FSH stimulates the release of eggs. B. LH stimulates the release of eggs. C. Estrogen maintains the uterus lining. D. Progesterone repairs the uterus lining. And the correct answer is B. LH stimulates the release of eggs. Let's break it down. Luteinizing hormone, or LH, plays a crucial role in the menstrual cycle by triggering ovulation, which is the release of an egg from the ovary. This is a key step for potential fertilization. Now, let's look at the other options. FSH, or follicle-stimulating hormone, is involved in the development of ovarian follicles, but it's LH that actually releases the egg. Estrogen, also known as estrogen, is responsible for building up and maintaining the lining of the uterus during the first half of the cycle, not just maintaining it. And progesterone? It helps to prepare and maintain the uterine lining for implantation, rather than repairing it. So, remember, LH is your hormone for releasing eggs. The next question is about hormone levels in the menstrual cycle. We'll focus on what happens a few days after ovulation. Let's start with the question. Compared with the few days before ovulation, which hormone is released in increased quantities 3 days after ovulation? Here are your options. A. FSH. B. LH. C. Estrogen. D. Progesterone. The answer is D. Progesterone. Now let's look at the options one by one. Before ovulation, FSH, or follicle-stimulating hormone, and LH, or luteinizing hormone, play crucial roles. FSH helps stimulate the growth of ovarian follicles, while a surge in LH triggers the release of an egg from the ovary. As we approach ovulation, estrogen levels rise to prepare the uterine lining for a potential pregnancy. However, our focus is on what happens a few days after ovulation, not before. So, 3 days after ovulation, progesterone is significantly elevated. This is because after ovulation, the follicle that released the egg transforms into a structure called the corpus luteum. This corpus luteum starts producing progesterone. This hormone is essential because it helps maintain the uterine lining, creating a supportive environment for a fertilized egg to implant and grow. If pregnancy doesn't occur, the corpus luteum breaks down, progesterone levels drop, and menstruation begins. But during the luteal phase, which is the period following ovulation, progesterone is at its peak. So, to summarize, 3 days after ovulation, progesterone levels rise to prepare your body for a potential pregnancy. That's why D. Progesterone is the correct answer. The next question is about genetic engineering, the modification of cereal crops. Let's explore a question about the kinds of traits that can be introduced into these crops. Ready? Let's get started. Which characteristic is not likely to be introduced into a cereal crop plant by genetic engineers? Here are your options. A. Resistance to bacterial diseases. B. Resistance to fungal diseases. C. Resistance to insecticides. D. Resistance to viral diseases. So, which of these characteristics is least likely to be introduced into a cereal crop? The answer is C. Resistance to insecticides. Now, let's break it down. Genetic engineers commonly work to enhance a plant's resistance to various pests and diseases. This includes resistance to bacterial diseases, fungal diseases, and viral diseases. These modifications help crops withstand threats that could otherwise reduce their yield or quality. However, introducing resistance to insecticides into plants is not a common focus. Insecticides are chemicals used to control pests, and plants don't typically develop resistance to these chemicals directly. Instead, genetic modifications aim to boost the plant's natural defenses against pests and diseases. So, the correct answer is C, resistance to insecticides. In the next question we will look into a fundamental concept in genetics, alleles. Let's see if you can identify which statements describe an allele from the following options. Take a look at this table with 4 options, A, B, C, and D. We need to figure out which one best describes what an allele is. Here's the breakdown of the options. Option A says an allele is an alternative form of a gene, it is copied during cell division, and it is part of a DNA molecule. Option B tells us it is an alternative form of a gene, copied during cell division, but not part of a DNA molecule. Option C only mentions that it is copied during cell division and is part of a DNA molecule, but doesn't recognize it as an alternative form of a gene. And finally, Option D says it's not an alternative form of a gene, but it is copied during cell division * and is part of a DNA molecule. So, which one is it? Think about the definition of an allele. Alleles are different versions of the same gene found in the same spot on a chromosome, and they are part of DNA, which means they must be copied during cell division. If you're ready, here's the answer. Option A is the correct answer. It ticks all the boxes. An allele is indeed an alternative form of a gene, it's copied during cell division, and it's part of a DNA molecule. Now, let's break it down. Alleles are different versions of the same gene, such as those that code for blue or brown eyes. Because they are made of DNA, they are part of the molecule, and they are copied every time a cell divides to ensure the genetic information is passed on. Option B is close but not quite there because it claims alleles are not part of a DNA molecule, which we know isn't true. And as for options C and D, they miss out on key elements, making them incorrect. The next question is, in the ABO blood group system, which alleles are codominant? Is it IA and IB, BIA and IO, CIB and IO, DIA, IB, and IO? The correct answer is AIA and IB. These two alleles are codominant. The reason is because in the ABO blood group system, the IA and IB alleles both express themselves equally when they are present together. This results in the AB blood type, where both A and B antigens are on the surface of red blood cells. On the other hand, the IO allele is recessive. This means that it only shows its effects if both alleles are IO, resulting in the O blood type. So, if you have IA and IB, you'll have type of blood because both alleles are actively contributing to the blood type. The next question is which statements about genetic engineering to produce human insulin are correct? Here are your options. 1. The human insulin gene is cut out of human DNA. 2. The insulin gene is inserted into bacterial DNA. 3. The genetically engineered bacteria are cultured in large numbers. 4. These cultured bacteria are used in injections for diabetics. Is it A 1, 2, 3, and 4? B 1, 2, and 3 only? C 1, 2, and 4 only? D 2, 3, and 4 only? The correct answer is B, 1, 2, and 3 only. Let's look at all the options. First, statement 1, the human insulin gene is cut out of human DNA. This is correct. Scientists isolate the human insulin gene from our DNA to use it for producing insulin. Next, statement 2, the insulin gene is inserted into bacterial DNA. That's also correct. The gene is inserted into bacteria using a plasmid vector, so the bacteria can produce insulin. Now, statement 3, the genetically engineered bacteria are cultured in large numbers. Correct again. The bacteria are grown in large quantities to produce the insulin needed. Finally, statement 4, these cultured bacteria are used in injections for diabetics. This one is not quite accurate. Although the bacteria produce the insulin, it's the purified insulin that is used in injections, not the bacteria themselves. So the correct answer is B, 1, 2, and 3 only. Statements 1, 2, and 3 accurately describe the process, while statement 4 doesn't quite fit. In the next question we're diving into an intriguing genetics question involving mice coat colors. Here's the scenario. 2 black female mice were mated with the same black male. One female had 9 offspring, all of which were black, while the other had 6 black and 2 white offspring. The question is, which cross represents the parents of the all-black family? Let's explore the options. Here are the options. A BBXBB, BBBXBB, CBBXBB, DBBXBB. The correct answer is D. Now let's look at all the options. Option A, BBXBB. In this cross, the female is white with a genotype of BB, and the male is black with a genotype of BB. This combination can produce both black and white offspring. Since the all-black family doesn't match this result, option A is not correct. Option B, BBXBB. Both parents are black but heterozygous. This cross can result in a mix of black and white offspring. Given that the all-black family only produced black mice, option B doesn't fit. Option C, BBXBB. The female is black with a BB genotype, and the male is black with a BB genotype. This cross will always produce black offspring, as each offspring inherits at least one dominant B allele from both parents. This matches the all-black family perfectly. Option D, BBXBB. The female is black with a BB genotype, and the male is black with a BB genotype. Similar to option C, this cross also results in all-black offspring, as every offspring will have at least one dominant B allele. Both options C and D could theoretically produce all-black offspring, but option D provides a simpler explanation. With the female being BB and the male BB, all offspring will definitely be black. Thus, the correct answer is option D, BBXBB. The next question examines the inheritance of hair color. The question asks, if P and Q have children together, what can we predict about their children's hair color? The options are: A. All the children will have dark hair. B. All the children will have red hair. C. Half the children will have dark hair. D. 3/4 of the children will have dark hair. The correct answer is B. Let's break down the genetics behind this to find out why. In family 1, P is red-haired, which means she must have 2 recessive alleles for red hair, represented as RR. Since red hair is a recessive trait, she can only pass on the R allele to her children. Now, let's look at Q from family 2. Q appears to have dark hair, but the family diagram shows that one of his parents had red hair. This means that although Q appears dark-haired, the marking scheme suggests that Q is genetically homozygous for red hair, meaning he has 2 red hair alleles, RR, despite his dark hair appearance. This brings us to the key point: Q's appearance may be influenced by factors outside the red hair gene, but genetically, he is RR, just like P. So, what happens if both P and Q have children? Since both parents can only contribute a red hair allele, R, all their children will inherit 2 recessive red hair alleles, one from each parent, resulting in the genotype RR. So, the correct prediction is B, all the children will have red hair. To clarify further, red hair is a recessive trait, meaning it only appears when a child inherits 2 recessive alleles, RR. Since both P and Q are genetically RR, every single one of their children will inherit 1 R from each parent. This means all their children will be RR, and therefore, they will all have red hair. To summarize, the correct answer is B, all the children will have red hair, because both P and Q are genetically RR, meaning they can only pass on red hair alleles to their children. Now coming towards last question that states, which statement is evidence that genes are copied and passed on to the next generation? A. Asexual reproduction produces genetically identical offspring. B. Different alleles of a gene can produce variation in phenotype. C. Each species of a plant or animal has a fixed number of chromosomes. D. Sexual reproduction produces genetically different offspring. The right choice is A. Asexual reproduction produces genetically identical offspring. Here's why: in asexual reproduction, a single organism reproduces without the involvement of another. The offspring are genetically identical to the parent because the genes are copied exactly. This process shows us that genes are replicated and passed on from one generation to the next without variation. Let's briefly look at the other options. Option B is about genetic variation, which is interesting but doesn't directly show how genes are copied. Option C talks about chromosome numbers, which is important for understanding genetic stability but not directly about gene copying. Option D highlights genetic diversity from sexual reproduction, showing different combinations of genes rather than copying them. So, the evidence for genes being copied and passed on is clearly shown through asexual reproduction. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more educational content. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to leave a comment below.